Trying to decide if you should rent or buy? Well, today's video, I'm going to go over the pros and cons of both renting and buying. So hopefully you'll have enough information by the end of the video to make a decision. Hi, my name is Erika McLean, and I'm a realtor at Simply South Realty in New Brockton, Alabama, and we service the real estate needs of the Wiregrass area. And today, I'm going to talk to you about the pros and cons of renting and buying. I am going to start with the pros of renting. Number one is the freedom. You can, at the end of your lease, pick up your stuff and say adios to your landlord and move on your way to greener pastures. Number two pro of renting, repairs. The landlord is responsible for repairs. So if your refrigerator goes out, they're responsible for providing you another one. If you have a leaky faucet, they should come and repair that for you as well. If the air conditioning goes out, and God forbid that happens here in South Alabama because you will be miserable, they will have that repaired as well. So the repairs are the landlord's responsibility. Now, I'm not saying if you go knock a hole in the wall that you're not going to be responsible for that, but if it's just the natural wear and tear that occurs on whatever you are renting, whether it's a house or an apartment, the landlord will be responsible for taking care of those items. Number three, utilities. Some places do offer to pay some or all of your utilities, others none. It depends. You want to make sure that that is something that you clear up with your landlord. What all will you be responsible for? I do know some apartments will actually pay for your water and for your garbage pickup, and you're just left with paying the cable and your electric bill. But make sure that you do find out if utilities are included. I know when I used to rent out a house, I provided the lawn care and the tenants paid for everything else. But make sure with your landlord when you're signing your lease agreement what all you will be responsible for as far as utilities. Number four pro of renting is going to be a set budget. Many renters are renting because they can't afford to go outside of a budget. And when you have a home or you own the home yourself, you kind of have repairs that pop up, unexpected bills. But for the renter, that responsibility is placed on the landlord, and they don't have to worry about those unexpected costs of the maintenance of a house. They're paying their rent, and that is it. So month to month, they have a set budget, and they know what they're going to pay. Now for the renting cons. Number one, you are building wealth for the landlord. So every month, the landlord if they have a mortgage, it's going towards their mortgage. If they don't, they're just making money. So you, in turn, are not able to do that. Number two, unexpected rent increases. Even though I said earlier that you have pretty much a set budget, that's not always true. There are times when the landlord finds it necessary to increase rent, and that can be a problem if you are living on a very tight budget. Number three, when you rent, you place down a security deposit. However, normally it's going to be the amount of the rent that you pay on the dwelling. There is a possibility that the landlord will not return 100% of that to you. Sometimes they'll keep part of it for maintenance, maybe possibly repainting if they go in and they find that the walls are dirty or just not in the condition that they were when you took occupancy. So they can take part of that deposit. So don't expect to get 100% of it back to put on a new residence. Probably is not going to happen. Number 4, rental insurance. The homeowner or landlord will have insurance to cover the actual dwelling, but that's not going to cover your personal items. So you do need to plan on purchasing some rental or renter's insurance. And I'm actually interviewing an insurance agent the next coming weeks to talk about insurance for renters and for home buyers, and hopefully she can clear that up. But you do need to kind of factor that into your budget, that you will need to purchase your own renter's insurance policy. Number 5, you're not able to go in there and just paint the rooms any color that you want. You're not going to be able to go in there and remodel without the landlord's permission. And chances are, if they say, yeah, you can paint that room this color, but you will have to pay to have it repainted when you leave, or we're just going to keep it out of your security deposit. So you're very limited on what you can do as far as remodeling or updating a residence that you're renting. Number 6 is roommates. Before you can move someone else in, unless you're all going in at the same time and renting at the same time, say you're in the apartment and you're like, wow, times are getting tough, I really need help, I need someone to help me with the rent amount each month, and you get a roommate to come in. You do need to speak to your landlord and get permission. You can't just move in anyone that you want to the house. You do have to get permission first before you can do that. The first con of home buying is going to be repairs. If something breaks, you have to fix it. And sometimes those repairs can be costly. If you have a leaky roof and have to replace that, you're looking at thousands of dollars. Refrigerators, I had to actually price them out the other day for myself, and I almost passed out. It was like $4,000 for a refrigerator, for one that actually was the same to the one I currently have. Where have I been the past few years? It was crazy. I couldn't believe how much this cost. But think about that. Do you have money in reserves to make those repairs as needed? Number 2, freedom. You're pretty much tied to that house. And if you've only been in the house a year and you're trying to move and you put it back on the market to sell, chances are you're probably going to have to come to closing table with money to pay just to get rid of it, unless you put a lot of money down prior to obtaining a mortgage, or if you paid cash, it's kind of a moot point, it doesn't matter. But being able to pick up and move without selling a house can be very burdensome to you. I've done a lot of deals where I have a person who has a contingency on a contract that says we can purchase this one as long as this house sells, and sometimes that doesn't happen in the time frame that we need. So the freedom, or the lack of the freedom to just pick up and move, is kind of a biggie. Okay. Number 3, and don't get mad when I say this, because everybody thinks their house is so awesome and they should get the max amount for it. That's not how it works. The market determines the value of your home. So, for example, I purchased my first home. I think I paid $182,500 for my very first home I ever owned. 7 or 8 years later, I sold it for $182,000. Not to mention that I repainted, I did all kind of upgrades in that house, brand new air conditioner was put in. Do you think I recouped any of that money? I did not. So the market is going to determine the price that you can resell your house for, not you. I mean, you could put it for any amount that you want, but the market and the buyer Unfortunately, depending on what kind of market you're in, if you're in a buyer's market, they're going to set the price and they're going to tell you what they think your house is worth. So you have to decide, okay, am I going to sell it for what the buyer says they think this house costs, or am I just going to hold on to it because I think it's worth about 30 grand more? And that is something that you have to think about. That is a personal decision that you have to make. So now let's talk about the pros of home ownership. Number one, possible tax breaks. You do want to make sure that you speak to your accountant to see if you are eligible for any tax breaks. But for people who own homes, there are some tax breaks out there that are available. You just have to see if you qualify for any of those and again, talk to your accountant. If you're renting, you don't get a tax break. I can tell you that much. Number two, you can renovate. If you want that room neon pink, guess what? You can paint it neon pink. You can do anything that you want. It is your house. You own it. Number three, you are building your own home wealth, or you're building equity every month that you make a payment. So if you're not, or if you don't have rather, a personal savings account, investing in your home, making those payments every month, of course, just the part that doesn't go to the interest to pay off the bank, but you're investing in yourself. So you kind of have a little piggy bank set to the side just for you each month, just in buying a home. And that is great. Number four is going to be interest rates. Right now we have really low interest rates. It is a great time to buy. If you think, and this is kind of the number one thing I run into with people who come to me, they're looking to rent. And I say, why do you want to rent? And it's because they think, well, they don't qualify for a loan, or their credit score is too low. And what I tell them is, okay, you need to talk to a mortgage loan officer. Let's look at every avenue before you say, well, I can't because of this reason, or I can't because of that. Talk to a professional who knows. A lot of people do want to buy, but there's that fear in them that they just are not eligible for a loan. So I tell them, we'll find out. If you are first, don't get rid of that option just out of total fear. Talk to somebody. Tell them what you're thinking. Let them walk you through those steps and just see if home ownership is an option for you before you totally mark it out. And my number one reason for buying a home is just that sense of accomplishment. Buying a home is the American dream. It's something you own, something you say, I'm committed to this, I'm investing in this. It is a beautiful thing to be able to have the American dream and that you have purchased a home. Okay, so I've given you the pros and I've given you the cons. So what I want to do now is show you some of the numbers for renting that maybe you haven't really thought about. So I'll show you the numbers of how much money you're actually putting towards rent each year that you could be using to invest in buying. Okay, this little chart is showing you the rent per month over a period of 3 years and 10 years and 15 years. And if you're paying, and I'm just going to go over the first because I know you can stop, you can pause this and you can look at those numbers, or if you want, you can message me and I will actually give you my PDF handout of pros and cons of renting and buying. It's got all of this information there. But if you're paying $500 rent over 3 years, you would have invested $18,000 with your landlord. 10 years, $60,000, and at 15 years, $90,000. And that is a lot of money that you could have put towards buying your own home. And here is just another little overview of rent, its pros and cons, just in case you have forgotten what those were. And here are your pros and cons of buying, in case you forgot what those were. Okay, those were my pros and cons of renting and buying. Hopefully I gave you enough information to make a decision on whether you think you need to rent or you need to buy. And again, at the end of the day, it's your money and it's your life. You do what you need to do to make you happy and for you to be able to put your head on your pillow at night and sleep well. It's not up to me or anyone else. It's your personal decision. But hopefully, I gave you the information that you need to figure out what you need to do.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you can see when we upload our next video. Until next time, see you guys later.